if elected, are you going to promote biking in the USC? Why or why not? And how will you promote the interest of the Carolinian bikers?
First of all, I would like to greet everyone a pleasant afternoon. And thank you for being here in the Grand Rally. I would like to answer that on two levels. Actually, if you ask me personally, if you take a look at the current trends happening right now in the country, in Cebu, for example, a lot of people are becoming more and more health conscious. And I think as Carolinians, we should also pursue this. If it were just up to me on a personal level, that I would encourage that as well, since we know that we can derive a lot of benefits from biking. However, on the second level, we actually need to ask ourselves if this is actually feasible. Because when you talk about projects such as this, such as, for example, creating biking lanes, that will essentially entail funds from the students, right? And given that SSC is supposed to be the direct representative of the people, I do not think that it will serve our interests if it will be arbitrary and unilateral. So I would actually I would recommend that there be question asked if this is really of primordial concern, because we can't just pursue a project even if it's not really that much beneficial and whatnot. So thank you.
Yes, I'd like to agree that if so that is what the students want, then we should sit down on it. But I like to emphasize that we have to sit down because there are a lot of things to consider. Other than financial aspect, you have to consider that the safety of the students, especially if it's in TC, with the railings and everything, you have to consider how it could affect the whole student population as well. But I believe it is a good endeavor. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. I agree with both my colleagues that it needs and requires further studies. However, this is also in line with the platforms of STAND that we must be inclusive and we must be recognizing organizations according to their advocacies, according to their wants and to their interests. So we need to recognize organizations like that.
Thank you for that. A concern was brought up by a certain student publication that states that a BSMA alumnus that graduated in March 2009 paid 3,000 for his batch yearbook, yet until the time of posting of yearbooks reportedly still nowhere to be found. What actions do you plan on solving this case?
Alright, I'm actually a BSMA graduate and I still haven't received my yearbook, so I can relate to this person. And the problem with that is that it boils down on the co-curricular level. SSC is a Supreme Student Council, but what we have to do is to talk on the co-curricular level because it involves them directly first. I think it really has to do with who handles the yearbook committee. What SSC can do is what we can do is just to talk to them and try to enforce that the yearbooks really be published, but in the end, it really boils down on the co-curricular level. Thank you.
Also, in response to that question, when we actually crafted our programs, it was envisioned by the party that the SSE, being the overarching organization that includes all other organizations, if ever there will be concerns such as this, then SSE can essentially help the students. And it can actually work individually with the individual student councils in each particular department or course, because we believe that the SSE has to make its presence felt among all the councils, not just in the SSE as a whole, but even in the subsidiary councils. Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. I would like to make it known to everyone that the first principle of STAND is to protect student rights. And even within or without the council, it must be continued that we must protect student rights. And this is one example where a right of a student has been abridged. And that is why STAND will always be there for the students, and this is something that we can help for the students.
If elected, how would you improve the information dissemination of class suspensions and the like during calamities, disasters, among others? Again, if elected, how would you improve the information dissemination of class suspensions and the like during the calamities, disasters, and others, among others?
Thank you very much for that question. That is exactly why STAND wants to break the walls of apathy. That is why we must strengthen students and student organizations. That is why we must strengthen information dissemination to all students. Because I believe that the root of the problem of apathy is the students are not informed, are not aware of what happens around them. So again, through the platforms of STAND, every student and student organizations will be informed, will be involved in matters like these. So vote straight, vote STAND.
Tingog has a platform that addresses this, and this is Wi-Fi, where it is a project that addresses information dissemination. But I was listening here in the Grand Rally, all the parties, SPP, STAN, Tingog, want to disseminate proper information. So the goal is to let's combine all those ideas, because 17,000 students come first. So whatever means to disseminate information. Good afternoon, Kuya Clyde. I would just like to ask for a explanation, because you have a very interesting tagline from your party. Was that Clyde Gregorio, Servicio Todo, walang break, walang cambio. So I'd like to ask, can you further expound on that, what that really means?
Thank you for that question, Kyle. Actually, when I use the tagline, Todo, walay break, walay cambio, it does not just mean that it's just will just work. When we talk about cambio and todo, actually, I had really a lot of reservations when they actually asked me out to run before. However, after knowing the party intimately, I knew that if ever I would run and if ever I would win, that the party will always be there to support me. So when I say todo, it's not just me as an individual, but me working collectively with the party and they having my back. So, really confident with that. Thank you.
What really concerned me about the tagline was the part where walang break, walang cambio. You know, in a car, there's a reason why there are different gears, because for different circumstances, you have to apply the gear. In leadership, it is not just going straight, because what would happen? You may crash and burn. So sometimes leadership entails slowing down and reassessing what is the right method to use.
Good afternoon, Kuya Clyde. Good afternoon, Dong. I would like to ask you one very simple question. How do you find Talamban campus?
Actually, I was very surprised, because all my life I was just in Maine. And when I actually went here, I was surprised to see a lot of trees, a lot of fresh air, a lot of fresh faces. So it's actually very refreshing. I really like this campus, and if ever given the chance, actually, I would like to transfer here if ever. It's very soothing to the senses. But I'm not saying that Maine is actually a bad thing. It's actually a beautiful campus, but I just like it to be more laid back. So it's more of a personal preference than a general judgment.
Yes, Kuya Clyde, I also agree that TC is very nice, but I think it would have been better if we were able to mention more than what meets the eyes, like the problems of our students and of the facilities. But I totally agree, Kuya Clyde, TC is very nice.
Hi, Kyle. I just have a simple question, because taking a look at the statistics of the voter turnout in San Carlos, it's actually quite dismal, right? Given that the SSC is supposed to be the voice of the student, they're supposed to be the representatives, and yet, for the longest time, it's just been what, 30 to 20%? That's the voter turnout. First question is, do you think this is an alarming trend, given that there is an apathy, a general apathy that may be perceived from the situation? And number two, what do you think can we do in order to stoke students more so that they would actually, it's just a follow-up question. What can we actually do so that students will actually be more inclined to be more political and to detach from being apathetic? Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question, Kuya Clyde. Yes, it is actually an abysmal number. It is actually one reason sometimes the administration does not recognize the mandate of the SSC, because it's a very small turnout in votes. But I believe this is not a problem that can be solved in one administration. What we can do is take it step by step. Whoever is in power in SSC has to work hard to reach out to the students and make them care, so that in the next elections and they will vote, so that there will be an increase in vote, because if they can feel, if you can break that apathy, or actually just cater to the needs of the students, they will be more involved with SSC. And when they're more involved with SSC, and they can feel the presence felt of SSC, and that is when they vote, because they would start caring. Thank you.
I would also like to point out that contrary to what Vice Presidential candidate Lucille Q had mentioned, the presidential candidate of Tingog has recognized that the problem is student apathy. So thank you. Hi, Kyle. I only have also a simple question. Can you tell us, or can you show us, or tell us your body of work that benefited the entire student population of USC? What you did while you were in undergrad that benefited the entire USC population?
That is actually a very hard question to answer, because I've said that I've worked in JPM. But I guess what body of work I've done is that I have always tried to make to be a proud Carolinian, to represent the school in whatever contest I've been in. Because being not just a JPN, but a Carolinian, it ripples throughout the city or whatever. That when you live as a proud Carolinian, you represent the whole school. So I guess in that way, I'd like to say that I tried my best to represent the school outside, beyond the walls of this university when we went out to the National Federation.